Oh, you want to hear my Christmas joke? What is the best gift? A broken drum. You can't beat it. All right, we're good.
I can't do this anymore.
We'll only do dad jokes from now on.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm Nat. This is Jess. We are coaches here at Big Lick CrossFit. We are kicking off this podcast for you guys and going over some topics on faith, fitness, and fellowship.
Yeah, so last week we didn't know your why. This ties in a little bit. We're going to work on comparison, specifically between people in the gym or on the scoreboard or just people in general. But we're looking at comparison here through performance and what we're doing here at Big Lick. All right. So I think Natalie's going to start us off. Why do people compare themselves anyways?
So this is actually a very normal thing to compare yourselves. There's something called the social comparison theory. And this is an innate ability that our brain has when we walk into any social area to kind of see where we fit in society. And are we doing things properly? Do we have good social skills? Do we have good abilities that give us value in society? And so we base how we talk, how we act, how we interact with others, and we get feedback from those within those social situations to kind of gauge where we are and what we're doing in society. So it's actually a very normal thing and actually can be a good thing to compare yourself to others in society.
Okay. So it's natural. It's something we all do as part of our life. So is it healthy?
It can be. It can be healthy. It can also be negative. And so if you're setting goals that are realistic and you're having a healthy competition and you're kind of looking at that person that's in the same age bracket as you and they've been working out as long as you and you're saying, okay, so they can do this, so realistically I should be able to do this, so this is a good goal for me, that can be very healthy. That's helping you set goals, that's helping you want to achieve more, that's helping you want to get better. When you come in and you start looking at that person and every time you put in a score, it's all about, did that person beat me or did I beat them? And that's end of it. Just is my score better? Yeah. That's all I care about. Yeah. That can become very negative.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's hard to know what that person has going on in their life and what you know very little about what their day has gone through and what their training has been like. And so you're comparing stuff that you don't really know much about, I guess.
Exactly.
All right.
And I think we all have experiences, I'm sure all of us have experiences of working out next to someone and at the end of it, we either go up and we high-five them and we feel great, or at the end, we're like, I don't even want to be here anymore. I just want to walk out because I feel so bad about myself.
Yeah.
And so how are you comparing yourself in that time?
Yeah. So we want to get to a spot where it's helpful and healthy, and I think it can be and has been in this gym. All right. So we said it's natural. It can be healthy. It can be negative. Can you dive a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So kind of going off of what I was just talking about where, if you're looking at your neighbor next to you and it's a good experience, then we have what's called abundance mindset. But if you're looking at them and all you can think about is that they beat you in a workout, and if they're fit and you feel then not fit, then that's what we would call a scarcity mindset. And so what that means when you have a scarcity mindset is there's only so much success to go around. And if someone else is celebrated for being fit, then they've taken that like glory, so to speak, and then there's not enough for you to also be considered fit. And right. So it's like, if you have, I have not. And it creates this mindset of you look at all the things that you don't have or you can't achieve or you haven't achieved yet. Where if you have an abundance mindset, it can be, you did great in that workout, maybe you had a better score than me, but that does not mean that I'm not fit. I also did great in that workout. I achieved my goals that I set for that workout. So you can be fit and I can be fit because there is enough fitness for everyone to go around.
Fitness for everybody.
Yeah.
I like that because I think you can't get in your head. It's just like one or the other, right?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
And that's where you can kind of get in a downward spiral too.
Yeah. So, do you have any experiences of that yourself where maybe a good or bad?
Yeah, I'm sure both. I think back before I had kids and I was working out and I was starting to get a little bit fitter, it wasn't ever like necessarily that exactly because it wasn't like I never saw somebody else get fit and I was like mad about it. That's just not my personality. Like I love love people and I like to see them succeed. But it would be the kind of thing where like if I didn't hit where I thought I maybe would hit on the scoreboard in that workout, I would be kind of bummed all morning. You know, that was, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. But now I feel like, maybe through kids, my mentality has changed some and grown, hopefully. But now, like, we work out together and you push me in a new way and it's like a joyful thing. And I love it when you beat me. I love it when other people beat me and I can be like in that race together. Because I feel like that's the whole goal of us is to move on together, right? Because we want each other to succeed. And that is just like the coolest thing, I think.
Yeah.
So what about you?
To be honest, I've had good and bad. There have been times I've moved a lot. So I've gone to a lot of new gyms by myself. And when you walk in and you're comparing yourself to everyone in that gym, it can be really intimidating and it can be really demoralizing because then you're comparing yourself to everyone.
Yeah.
So I've had that experience where I've gone in and I've been like, all right, I'm going to do the best, but I don't know who I'm even working out next to. And I see all these people beating me and I'm like, it's such an emotional roller coaster. Yeah. So you're already physically exhausted and then you're emotionally exhausted from the comparison.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, also, like, I've been here for a while, and like you said, I love working out next to you because you push me so much harder than I would ever push myself. But it's a really great way for me to, like, compare where I should be or, like, goals that I could set for myself and maybe even goals that are a little bit higher than I normally would have. And that's where that comparison becomes healthy, is because I wouldn't have set those goals as high as I have, but then I work out next to you, and I'm like, well, if Jess can do it, then... surely, like, with a lot of work, I can potentially get there.
I don't want to hear that. I don't hear that.
So that's kind of like that healthy comparison.
Yeah, and I think it's like less competition and more inspiration, right? Mm-hmm. So I see these people around me, and it's inspiring. Whether it's you or another person, and it helps you move a little faster. And props to those people that work out in their garage all the time, but I don't think that is. I cannot. I need I like the people, and I think it's just such a positive atmosphere we have here, and hopefully we can continue to cultivate that and use things like this podcast to stir some conversation on that and keep us going in the right direction.
So there's actually a funny story. Well, I don't know if this is funny. We can decide to keep this in or not later. But just speaking of that, when I first moved back to Virginia, I decided I was just gonna save some money and work out by myself in my garage, and I have this like super clear memory of working out by myself and the garage door is open and it's raining and I finished the workout and I'm just sitting there and the rain's coming down and a sad song came on the radio and it was Temporary Tears by Need to Breathe. Like I remember it so clearly and I was like, I need people. I need people.
I think, and that's how we were made. Like we were talking about like what we're made for. We are made to be in fellowship with other people, because it just makes us better. We all function as different parts. We work so much better when we're together and working towards a common goal. And like I love it when we see each other succeed. It's the coolest thing. I think CrossFit can cultivate that if we get it right. Yes. It can also go in the other direction. I think we both have seen that before too. So we want to make sure that we kind of keep everybody going along in that direction. So yeah. Sad songs in the rain by yourself is not the way to go.
If you ever thought that you didn't need community, I assure you, you do.
What's that song they put on like the SPCA commercial with it? That song.
The Arms of an Angel.
That's what you work out to.
Just crying the entire time.
You probably change your playlist to Avril Lavigne and the Arms of the Angel. Anyways. Music matters.
All right, back at it.
Yep.
So the next thing I want to talk about is, like, yes, comparison is normal and it can even be healthy, but a lot of times it's not. And it's natural for us to look at other people and want more for ourselves. So how do we do that in a healthy way if we're struggling with not being healthy right now?
Right. So changing that mindset. I think there's a couple ways that I like to dive into a little bit, and you can feel free to interrupt me if I go on a tangent. But you be intentional about celebrating others when we were talking about that, and I love that. Like, if you haven't done it, try it. It'll make you feel great. Like, I think there's just so much joy to be had in that, celebrating others and seeing them succeed. And seeing, as a coach too, I think it's a little more natural for us because, why would we coach if we didn't want people to succeed? Right. Mm-hmm. But I love seeing success in the people around me and just like the joy that brings in them, because it brings me joy. So I think that's one thing we can do. Before I move on to like value, do you have anything about like celebrating others?
The only thing I was going to add is I have this clear memory of my parents telling me when I was younger, it's really hard to dislike someone that you continually pray for. Yeah. And I think it's also true. It's really hard to be jealous of someone or envy someone that you're consistently celebrating.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't entirely mean it in the beginning.
Make it, make it.
Eventually, you really do sincerely want that person to succeed. So
Yeah.
if there's someone maybe you're struggling a little bit with, of like hoping that they trip on their rope every time, like celebrate them when they do something well, and it gives you joy to see them succeed, and that helps a little bit with that jealousy feeling.
And I think that's like a step in obedience, right? So sometimes the stuff that you have to like tell yourself to do in obedience leads to the joy in the end. Like just take that step of faith and obedience and praying for your enemies, or hopefully you don't have too many enemies in our gym.
You never know.
You know, going out of your way to be intentional with that. Like intentionality makes a big difference, I think. So yeah, I like that a lot. Pray for your people and celebrate with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost Christmas, right? We've got Luke 2, right? When the shepherds are out in the pasture and the angels come to them to tell them that, hey, Jesus is being born, like right down there. Like you should go check it out. This is great news, right? You like my Bible stories?
Right down there.
Right down there, Bethlehem. All right. But I just saw this thing. I think it was a Max Lucado thing, and it said, like, look at that verse where it says, to you. It says, today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. And I've skipped over that probably like a million times, like to you. And we were talking about this before, like you could put your name in there, like to Natalie. Jesus has been born to Natalie, or to whoever's watching this, to Jessica. I think that's like the coolest thing. Like you find your sure and stable worth and value when you find it in Jesus, right? He came for you and for me. And that is the coolest thing. And he came in and then he died. He paid a price for you. You are now priceless. Like I was unworthy, you know, I've sinned and fallen short so many times. And just based on my performance, I'm worthless, you know? But based on Jesus, I have the greatest value there ever is. And that will be unchanging because God is unchanging. It's getting back to like where our true value is, and it's not on like a scoreboard, right? So we just don't have to earn it, and I love that. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that before we?
I think that's so true with everything you're saying. I love how personal you made that with putting like your own name in there.
I like that.
To remember where your worth is, and that's a very grounding exercise that you can do as well. So when your brain gets scattered, chaotic, anxious, to ground yourself in that moment and remember where your worth truly lies, which also will help, because the other point that I had on there was to set goals apart from others. And so when you know where your worth really is, and it's not in the person working out next to you or your scoreboard, but you still want to set healthy goals. So if I'm working out next to you, like I was saying, and I'm comparing myself to the person in the gym, which is healthy and can be healthy, but also putting that in the light of your worth in God. But if you take goals away from that person, and then whether or not you accomplish those goals separately is what you celebrate. And that will help you. You can still compare yourself to that person and can still help you set those goals. But every workout, you don't have to dread, is that person going to be there? Is that person going to beat me? Because it doesn't matter. You use that comparison to set these goals, and those goals are going to be what's important for you to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, I like that. And I think we're going to dig into goal setting in the future podcasts. And I know something I've struggled with before is like, for me, like I always want to do my best, like how I've raised, but now even more so, it's like a show of gratitude for what God has given me. But it's like, how do I know if I'm doing my best, right? Mm-hmm. And it's easy to try to tie that in, like comparing it to like how I did on the scoreboard or whatever. But I think it needs to be like away from that. Like it kind of comes down to like my heart in the matter. You know, if I'm like come out way too hot because I'm trying to beat somebody out the door, and then my total effort is not great because, you know, I wasn't staying in my lane for that part of the workout or whatever. So that's something that's still like a growing process with me. I think it's like, how do I know I'm doing my best for that day, you know? Or how do I know I'm growing in my weaknesses for that workout? So something, I don't know. Like you said, finding different goals separate from, you know, just dependent on beating the person next to you.
Yeah. So celebrate others.
Yes.
Know where your worth really comes from, and set goals.
Yes.
Apart from that other person.
and you had a Galatians scripture, which I would love to share real quick about, kind of related to people pleasing, right? So it's Galatians 1:10. It says, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." Right? So I think that's a good draw you back to home type scripture, where you can't serve two masters. Usually that's attributed to like money and God, but you can't serve God and also serve, people pleasing.
Right.
Like you want to serve people, but not like for their approval. We were definitely made to serve people, but so if you're trying to if I'm trying to do my best, for the Lord, but I get sidetracked instead of trying to just impress people, then we can't do both.
Right.
One's got to give. So I like that scripture too.
All right.
What do you think, Matt?
I think we need to start talking about my least favorite workout.
Or most favorite. You haven't done it in a year, so it's about to be your favorite.
I think about this for 364 days and how much I don't want to do it.
Oh, that's a terrible attitude.
Speaking of having a good attitude. So yeah, let's dive into this. For those of you who don't know what we're referring to, the 12 Days of Christmas WOD is coming up on Christmas Eve, so just a few days away.
Yes. RSVP, please.
If you have not done a 12 Days of Christmas WOD, it'll be fun.
This is your year. You're about to enjoy it.
No, it is fun. It is fun. I just, it was just not my jam. But
it will be this year. We're going to change that.
We'll try.
This is great. We got some changes this year.
There's so much chaos going on all the time.
It is pretty chaotic, but you have to kind of embrace that. So are you going to sing the song for us?
Do you want me to hate this workout more?
No. Okay. So it goes like the song, right? So 1 sumo high pull, right? And then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then we go all the way up to 12 on the movements and then back down. Some gyms don't go back down. You're in a lucky spot. We go back down.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent. So the barbell stuff is all 1 through 5 because that kind of flows together pretty nicely. So the sumo high pull is a little bit more awkward. It's a light barbell, right? It should be something that you should be able to move through pretty consistently without your form falling apart. So make sure you keep that in mind.
So looking at these first 5 movements, and for those who don't know what this one is, it's 1 sumo high pull, 2 thrusters, 3 push press, 4 power cleans, 5 deadlifts. Are you supposed to be doing all of those unbroken when you get to that point? Is that how light it should be?
Yeah,
okay.
For the most part. Except the only exception might be the sumo high pull is a little bit more awkward with your stance.
Okay.
Right. But the thrusters, push press, power clean, deadlifts, that's all.
But should you go 5 deadlifts straight into 4 power cleans?
Yeah.
Straight into 3 push press?
Straight
into 2 thrusters?
For the most part.
All right.
And now it is a very long workout.
So once you pick up that barbell, you
yes.
should hold on to it all the way through that sumo high pull.
Yes. So with that in mind, the number 6 movement is kettlebell swings, right? So you rest for just a second before that because you're going to have to rest somewhere. So there's different things that you're going to want to do unbroken. Probably most of your jump ropes are unbroken. Sit-ups, pull-ups would be another great thing. If you can do that unbroken, that saves you a little bit of time because there's 8 million transitions, right? So if you can get to the barbell and just do that part unbroken, especially when you get to the end and it's like those last few barbell movements, that's going to go really fast. So it's it is. It is. We've done it. We're good.
All right. So what other tips would you give people doing this for the first time or, for the 10th time?
For the 10th time. The barbell was the big one. Make sure you're efficient with your movements. So if you're super sloppy with kettlebell swings and stuff, it's going to add up after a while because this is a very high rep movement or very high rep workout. So you want to make sure you're moving well, even though it's a super light deadlift, keep your core, even though it's a light push press, you're still driving through your hips because your shoulders are going to go before your hips do, right? There's not a ton of squatting in this workout, So your shoulders are probably going to go before anything else. So if you can try to use, your hips and that cord extremity a little more when you can and just save your arms for some of the other stuff, that would be advisable. And be patient and kind, right? This is a Christmas workout. There's going to be a lot of people in here. Your coach is going to do their very best to organize everything and get things going. Also, this is going to be more than an hour, right? Because the workout itself for some people is going to take like 50 minutes. For others, half an hour. So your class is probably going to go over. So just plan that if you've got to get to work or something like that. You just got to do it a lot faster.
Just keep moving.
But be patient because you're going to have to weave in and out of people. It's crazy, but it's fun. And there's, a reason we keep doing it. And it is a benchmark. It'll be in Watt Hopper as a benchmark.
Excellent.
Yep. So you can look it back up.
It'll be fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Extra points if you wear Christmas attire.
The whole workout. All right. So what else? Anything else in programming? We got some fun stuff this week. I know it's a shorter holiday week. We've got some 1 rep maxes. You excited about that?
I love 1 rep maxes.
Yes.
I'm all about that.
Yes. And I will say, give yourself grace, right? Grace upon grace. So you're not going to hit a PR every single time you come in here. Every single time we, max out. We have 2 coupled together with the back squat and the squat clean, so that makes it, even harder to hit a PR. But you have been working hard, so have fun with it. Try, when you also have your worth in something besides the scoreboard, it gives you freedom to fail, which I like. You can just go, don't hurt yourself. That's why our coaches are here. But, go try hard and be okay if you don't hit quite the number that you get. I know it can be frustrating. I've been there, but if we're hitting 2 PRs or if you're tired, you've had a really hard fall or, beginning of the winter, give yourself some grace and just go heavy for that day, right?
Still getting stronger.
Yes, you're getting stronger. And even in failed attempts, you get stronger. Do you know that? Fun fact.
Very strong because of that.
Yeah. You and me both.
Last question I have for you as far as strategy goes. So when we have a week like this or any week where we're doing several max out lifts, is that something that, looking at it, I should prioritize one of those lifts? Not that I'm going to sandbag the other ones, but
right.
That is the one that I really want to put my 110%. I want to PR that lift. And so therefore these other ones I'm going to go heavy on, but maybe not necessarily strain myself to get a new
just
max.
See how far you get. Yeah.
Is that a good idea, or should you walk into it just whichever one you're up next, you're just going everything you've got on that one? Not what you would do.
I would just say, you want what I would do, or what I recommend you do? Are you talking within the same day or 2 different days?
2 different days in the same day, all of it.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on how you feel. So if you get into you do 12 days of Christmas and you just feel like trash the rest of the week, then you might not go as heavy on your split jerk 1 rep max on Friday. Yeah, you can kind of prioritize if you want to. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Again, it depends on the goals you're trying to achieve. And maybe, we haven't done a ton of squat cleans. So maybe you're trying to focus more on just the strength of a back squat and just see how heavy you can get, because we have done a lot of squats. And I think you'll see some people get a lot of PRs this week. But yeah, you can totally prioritize, or just give all the effort you got and see where you go. But yeah, strategy-wise, you could prioritize, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is it for what we've had, unless you have anything else to add for today's episode. Next week, we are going to be talking about nutrition. We're bringing in Coach Shelley to give in her expertise in here. So we'll be asking her some great questions. So be looking forward to that. And
yeah, it's exciting.
Today.
So Merry Christmas, everyone. Also, it was Natalie's birthday a couple days ago. So happy birthday to her. If you didn't tell her happy birthday, she probably doesn't like you anymore. So don't worry about it.
Now I have enemies in the gym.
Pray for them. We're good. We're professionals.
We're so funny.
All right, we good?
That's a wrap.
There you go. We pop the eggnog this time? Is that a thing?